are back. I cut it out randomly at some points in between 3 to 6 minutes each time. And here we are. We got Shem Jacobs. We got the ElkMan. We got Hans Dietrich. And we are psychically summoning Julia, who will magically appear at some point.
What's going on?
How is everybody?
Not too bad. What's going on?
Glad to have you. There was some troubles on the way. Poor Shem celebrated his birthday only to get a flat tire. Almost.
No. My birthday was like a few weeks ago. Thankfully, the flat tire did not happen on my birthday.
But it set a bunch of events which caused you to not have your license because it expired. So then you're driving something else, and then got you. Okay, not bad.
Jeez.
All right, now that we're all aware of Shem's problems,
Truth reveal.
I don't have an ID right now. That's basically
Karmic clear, Shem. Karmic clear, Shem.
Well, here in Calgary, Alberta, it is currently snowing and a good old mid-March blizzard. So we got like a foot of
Seriously?
snow.
Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
Can't say I missed that.
Right? It's like, how's the weather? At least was it dry down there, Shem, when you were changing the tire? Like, not freezing?
It's still cold, but because it snowed like a few days ago, I want to say it was the last time it snowed, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, I was just happy that I was able to get it changed because it was just a stressful situation. I mean,
right, no doubt. Never fun being on the side of the road with a flat tire. It's probably one of the worst, actually.
We went from 50 to 80 to 76 back to 50 in rain over the weekend, and so.
Oh wow!
Got a good hike in my favorite falls with Kayla. Cross to the Bonneville Dam. It's like a 2.5 mile loop. Beautiful falls, but unfortunately, during the Eagle Creek fires a couple of years ago, this whole area was burned out, and it's they've only recently reopened it, and it's been sad. I've been up there twice now since they reopened it, and it's like, oh god, I remember all this being forested, and now it's like sparse trees and what's left of the burn victims. But the waterfall is still beautiful, fucking amazing. And we were talking about that actually on our last show about, pareidolia in when you see faces in the rocks. And I went and looked at the rock again. I took some photos of it, and it's just not there anymore. It's like all overgrown, and so it's like, oh shit, I gotta show what it used to look like, because it was clearly like this troll face in the rock. It was so amazing.
You gotta find.
But there's still.
Pictures.
I have it somewhere. But the whole thing. There's so much amazing stuff up there. It was awesome to see snow again. Wow, there was still snow up in that area. So you get these cold patches while you're walking, and then insane warm breeze, like a Chinook wind that comes in, and then cold again. You're like, oh shit! But you go up to the waterfall, and oh my god, it's so beautiful up there. Like, seriously, wide fall.
I have this picture up, but it leads to an album that actually has a whole bunch of different faces with the pareidolia thing that you're talking about. So I'm going to scroll through it as you continue talking. But I first wanted, before switching this picture, to point out, I just love how it illustrates modern human, then Neanderthal looks to be the elongated skull folk, and then the Denisovan seems to be a giant, even bigger than the human or the Neanderthals. So is that demigods and giants and not actually just cavemen?
That's a great question with the Denisovians, especially because you see a lot of their traits in Tibet, Nepal, northern India. This wrestler known as the Great Kali is I mean, come on, this guy's like 8.5 feet tall. He's not that tall, but he's huge. He's massive, and he has a bone and body structure that you don't see this in India. And so it's like, who is this guy, right? Is he of this ancient lineage? On the other side of the scale, we have the hominoid Florentius, which are these hobbit creatures in Jakarta and Jakarta. Sorry, Bali, Indonesia, these areas. We find them there, and the question is, who are these people, and who are they related to? And we don't really find a lot of their heritage stretching across any other lineages. But anyway,
Yeah, the desert.
that's a bear tooth. I'm sorry, no, just kidding.
It's the first time I've seen it.
Tooth molar difference, like that's a giant.
Yeah.
Here. And then these, I believe, are all from Montana, mostly the different dolems, as well as some of the faces that will be coming up. Oh, this one, Peru. So this is the actual mountain in Peru. Angles looking like faces. That kind of looks like some skulls.
Well, yeah, we talked about when you go to Machu Picchu, and we got to pronounce it right because it has two meanings. One is the old man of the mountain, and the other one is the old man's phallus. But it's how you pronounce it. If you look at it sideways, you have a face. There's definitely a face there from the upper gate. It's incredibly fascinating. And we talked about this in the last show we did. Wait, go back. Who's that sitting next to that bone?
Right? Couple randoms in there. Who is that? I don't know. Big
so there's a lot of things that could be there's pareidolia where we see faces and figures and everything, but there is something to it. We do see this in a lot of places that it is legit, and it's like, oh, they actually were sculpting out of the mountain.
Like that one kind of looks like carved dinosaur, maybe, or reptile, something. That kind of looks like a face sideways. Could be carved.
Interesting.
Two faces in the background.
Well, and then we go to somewhere like Costa Rica, and we have these giant heads, these Olmec heads, and it's like, well, okay. So here we are actually carving out of massive stone to represent, humanic features or features in general. So what is that all about? And so we're either doing this in a large scale, like we're possibly seeing here, or we're doing this in a small scale, or both. So yeah.
Oh yeah, they could. They're more than capable of it. There's a guy that dug through a mountain by himself somewhere in Asia. I can't remember where it was, but he dug through an entire mountain by himself because his wife fell off of it. And
what?
He's honored with on a coin or something now. I can't remember the full story, but yeah, he ended up digging through the entire mountain and made it easier for the entire village to get to another area that was cut off because of this mountain. It's an insane story, but I'll be right back.
I think I actually remember hearing about that, somewhere in the Chinese mountains or something. In Vietnam.
Okay, so stop here, right here. So here you see these scoop marks. Go back.
Back.
Sorry, yeah, to the scoop marks. You've just been flying through these. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
There's a bit of delay on my end.
Come on.
I think it's all on Burn.
Of course, my computer freezes. No,
no, there were these scoop marks. It might be forward of this one.
Oh, there we go. Scoop marks. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So you see this at the Aswan Quarry. You see this at the unfinished obelisk, and we're told that these slaves had bashing stones and were standing in a space that was a meter wide or less next to their buddies trying to bash out rock in front of them. This isn't going to work for very long for anybody at all. At the end of the Aswan Quarry, you have these 3 to 9 meter deep pits that look like they were square tubes that were rotated in the ground, at a high velocity to go down. And they would pull out these cores so they could see where the actual ground mass of the granite was and if there were any imperfections in it. And so the unfinished obelisk sits there, and it has a crack underneath it, which is why they left it in situ, so everybody could see how this was made. How did they move this to the river? You would have to remove all the material that's like 3 obelisks wide to the right of it to get it down to the next level to get it out to the river. It's unbelievable. And then you have Zahi Hawass in his video at the museum going, they were drinking beer. They were happy slaves. No, they weren't. And they're bashing this stuff out from underneath until it was like this little tiny spindle. And then they would crack it over. And I'm like, it would have fallen on those slaves long before that. And then how, again, are you lifting it and moving it out of this trough? And so in the secondary unfinished obelisk, which is further toward the Nile, above this, it's a smaller specimen, but you can see this scoop mark that looks a lot like this one, where it cuts back up and under. And so this is an undercut, right? That's what that looks like. It's like a scoop undercut, and it's in a precision sectioning. And this is what you see at the other unfinished obelisk at Aswan. Is this? It comes down the sidewall. It's a little over a foot wide, this scoop mark, and it comes down, and then it comes up and cuts, and then comes back out. And it's like, who's sitting under there, bashing it? You can't even imagine somebody actually doing this. And when you see the stone that's sitting there and the diorite bashing balls, my friend Yusuf, who runs a lot of these too, his father was Hakim Iwan, this famous guy. If you ever watched the Pyramid Code, Abdel Hakim Iwan is like amazing. He's an indigenous speaker.
Chemists, right? He
talks a lot about chem. A lot of this came down through his lineage, the Suf lineage. And so he would talk about this, and he took tours to Aswan in the 70s. And this stone, as Yusuf said, has only dented about an inch since the 70s of every tourist trying to bash down on it every day. And so you're like, this is not what they're doing. They have a plow rate of some sort of mechanical tool that is plowing through a lot of this stuff, either through a scoop mechanism or a saw mechanism, which you see in a lot of other sites. And the plow rate, according to Christopher Dunn, is like 1,500 or 15,000 revolutions per minute, per second, which is insane. It's higher than anything we do at our cores. Our cores are like a third of that, because we figured out enough water, enough pressure, and then we add, silt or other things. We can plow through this at a much more efficient rate and use less energy. But they were plowing through this at such a high rate that it would vitrifies a lot of what you see in the cut marks. And we're still being told this is, copper saws and sand. Yeah, you can cut through granite with copper saw and sand. I've seen somebody cut through it an inch over the course of half a year. So let's be realistic here. This stuff is going a lot faster than that. And so seeing something like this is like, oh my God, this is, uniform scoop marks. They're in cuts, kind of like what you see in Aswan. Anyway.
Yeah,
the
idea that they didn't have the technology to do this stuff is unbelievable. Like, it's just ridiculous, because they talk about in the oldest sources building canals that are massive, even one from the Red Sea to the Mediterranean, long before the
right. Yeah.
So, like, if they're building this type of stuff, they clearly came up with some sort of machinery to help them out. And think about the Archimedes screw, for example. Very ancient technology. I don't know, just some examples.
Absolutely. If this is in fact an eagle or hawk, representation that it looks like it is, and that it's an actual amphitheater, that they were terraforming mountains for heck's sake on some of the past civilizations. But this is also in Montana. All of these pictures are from the Montana megalith discovered by Julie Ryder. And what Hans was just talking about with the scoop marks in a couple of those pictures of these sites that Wandering Wolf Productions, Mike, have an interview coming up with him in April. But he's been there, and he actually took several photos of the Sage Wall site that also have these rocks with the scoop marks alongside it, just adjacent to Sage Wall itself. But
if I can share, I'll show you some of these.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Let me go to the Aswan Quarry here section of my interview. Sorry, I was doing a record earlier, so there's like the record stuff in the lower right. Hold on a second. Present.
Sorry, Shem, I just saw that you had something up.
Oh yeah, this is just that guy that dug through the mountain. So this is him. And this is what
in
he dug
India. Okay.
with a hammer and chisel all by himself. So this used to connect at the top, apparently.
So proving it can be done by one person in one lifetime with just a hammer, chisel, and determination.
It depends on the material that they're cutting through, obviously. Yeah.
Good call.
It's a quartzite ridge.
Quartzite, that's pretty hard.
Yeah, he got honored.
Yes, and no.
He got honored for doing this. He's got a stamp. Yeah, pretty cool.
This guy is from India. Good man. Let me see if I can present here.
Those cooking videos are hilarious that are going around social media right now. The Indian cooking videos, they make me laugh. It's like people serving food with their hands and stuff, and everyone in the comments is just going crazy. It's hilarious.
Like that. That's funny. You do not pass the health codes. So here's one in the Montana megaliths, and then a second one as well. That there's lots of them throughout the site with these scoop marks, and that they appear all over the world.
Yeah, I found these. Hold on, here it is.
Got the share. Bring up. Oh, there we go.
I can't see what you're looking at, so flip to the other screen.
Oh, perfect timing, Mr. Hans. Look at that. Right, so that's
this is the Aswan Quarry, and these are like just strange scenarios. And so then you go to the unfinished obelisk, and this is a meter wide, right? And you have these weird scoop marks again. We're told that people with bashing stones, like my friend Jason in the middle, this bashing stone is up on the left here. You can kind of see it where all these people are on the left. But yeah, he's sitting there going dunk dunk dunk, and yeah, he's not making a dent. And then at the second unfinished obelisk here on the right, that's up near the tower on the left. If you see that building on the left, you can kind of see it's closer in. So it's up and over the hill. And you see these scoop marks come down and cut up underneath. Are you serious? What is doing that? And so here we are again. It's like, oh, we're told that bashing stones cut out this perfect wedge out of this block here. And again, all this would have needed to be removed, like everything to the right of this obelisk over the hill would have needed to be removed, and all of this to get to the port in order for it to be floated away. And let's talk about the port. So you have a flotation raft that possibly could cart a 1,200-ton block of granite like the unfinished obelisk during the high tide season. But let's be realistic. When you put something unevenly on something that's not weighted correctly, you have a buoyancy effect, right? And so it's going to topple whatever's on that raft into the water, especially at those weights. Interestingly, when they dredged the Nile for building the Aswan Dam, just up or downriver, upriver from Aswan toward Ethiopia, they didn't find any blocks at the bottom of the river, nor up the Nile anywhere. And so the question is, how are they moving these stones? Because you have this 1,200-ton obelisk unfinished. The reason why it's unfinished is they found a crack underneath it, and so they just left it in situ. It's like, well, we can't do anything about it. Maybe we'll cut it down. But you find this all over Egypt. You find these sites that are unfinished, and it's like something happened at a specific period of time where everybody just abandoned their post and left. And you've got to wonder what it was. So
Bronze Age collapse. I'm just kidding. 1 second.
Oh, for sure. But you go into the Cairo Museum, and in the left corner, like right around the corner when you walk in, are these boxes. And this box is interesting because the lid has been broken off. And you have two saw marks, one top, one bottom, that are plowing in at a high rate. And they slipped. And whoever was managing this machine stopped it before it finished. And so you have an upper and bottom cut mark, and it's at a vortices or an angle. And it also has vitrified the stone material of the rose granite around it. And so you're just like, well, wait a second. If this is somebody using a saw and sand and water, they would have figured out that they were off track long before this. This is something that's moving at a very high rate because it's vitrifying. You can see in the left picture, the
it had to have an extremely high rate of heat or friction.
Oh my God, it's like moving at massive speeds. And so what is doing this? And so they would build these boxes like this. They would take the bottom of the box, and that would become the lid. And you see this at the Serapeum. All the boxes in the Serapeum are all one piece of the same, black diorite. And so it's really fascinating what you see here. Then you get into something like this. On the left, you have these amazing precision cuts. I guess I skipped over a little bit of what Christopher Dunn was doing with the head of Tutmosis III, or if it's Ramses. And he would show all these amazing radiuses that you just can't do this with human hand. This is what a CNC machine does with, you program in how you want to cut it, and it cuts this way. And so we're looking at like this insane precision that we don't have the ability of this. And even here in Luxor, the Germans rebuilt this site and they cemented this block together. But in the past, this thing fell over and broke, and they fixed it with either metal plates that went in this. That's about a foot wide. Or stone, and as you can see, it goes all the way up the back of this sculpture and along the arm. And so in the ancient past, this was fixed. And then when they rebuilt Luxor is an interesting site because it was literally buried underneath a mosque as a helm. It was a mound, basically. Where's my Luxor picture? Damn it. Oh, it's the one before this, yeah. So the picture on the right is the mosque above the temple site of Luxor. And so this was a dirt mound on the side of the Nile River. And they built this mosque, 500-600 years ago, and all of a sudden started finding these pillars. And I mean, Luxor is an extension. This is Luxor, the statue on the right here. Let me remove this. Double layer. The statue on the right here is the one with all the broken pieces on it that they rebuilt. And this was all buried under a dirt mound. And we're told that, from the ancient dynasties, the Nile Valley was always occupied, and so was Egypt. And so if this was always occupied, how are you digging this stuff up under a quote-unquote mud flood or mound and claiming that it belongs to a specific time period? It's mind-boggling to me that if this whole area was continually occupied, so would all have these sites been. And so they keep finding stuff, under the earth and going, oh, this is now allotted to XYZ time period. And it's like, really? I'm not convinced about that. Because if this has been occupied for the last 5,000-6,000 years, as we're told the Egyptian old dynasty, new dynasty, old kingdom, new kingdom time period was, this all should have been above ground. This would have been occupied during these periods.
Right, good point. And so much of the stuff that we're told has been recently occupied is buried way too deep And then
Yeah.
carbon dating. I know if Shem's here, he's done a lot of digging and found so many examples of like dates and just inaccuracies in it. And that recently Bob Grenier at the Martin Fleischmann Memorial Project and their thunderstorm generator device has had and been producing anomalous carbon-14 that's supposedly 30,000 years old on it. So it's like there's another example of carbon dating being completely off, or somehow carbon being able to be magically time traveling potentially in the plasma, if not, right? Like, who knows? It's weird stuff, but it doesn't seem accurate.
Is there a carbon element to plasmas? This is a good question. So
Well,
you like I have a Tesla coil like you have in your background there. Yeah, I have one that's like a lava lamp. It's awesome. Yours is like one color. That's really interesting. I'm not sure how that's happening. Mine is like the multicolor spectrum, but the second I put my hand to it, the blue plasma is the one that attracts to it. And so these plasma energies are, super amazing on these levels. So yeah.
Right. Well, carbon and plasma, it's like flame, fire. Yeah. When you burn stuff, Correct. Everything turns to carbon. So yes, plasma, flame is plasma, and that there is this transmutation of elements through.
But there's not a carbon element to plasma. That's where I was going with that. Right? Like that's the weird part about plasma fire. Right? It's the secret fire of the alchemist, right? It's the plasma. They're like, oh yes.
I've heard about the alchemist calling water fire.
Interesting.
Well, water in essence can be a plasma as well, right?
Yeah, true. 100%.
Yeah, some of the sources I was reading were talking about the alchemist fire being water, like just because it heats a different way than burning it, I guess, was the reasoning behind that. Just like an entirely different technique.
I don't want to get controversial.
I interpret it also being fire in that manner that it absorbs and eats all like elements and dissolves into it too in some ways, like it's burning metals or burning elements into the solution or the flame.
Yes.
Oh. Did you guys have anything ElkMan that you wanted to share, or Shem, you guys each had some stuff?
Yeah, we can start with ElkMan.
I love your background, ElkMan. That's key. I've stayed at a friend's apartment once upon a time in my life in Washington D.C. that kind of looked like that. That was
well, any cave that you go exploring, entrance is going to be like that too, right? Like if you go caving,
will it not let me share it with you, Bernie?
It should. It's not popping up. Weird.
Browser can't access your screen.
Huh. That's a first.
Love to be with lazy.
Weird.
1 second.
You can just send me the link if you want.
Sure. Or is it not appearing on mine? What the heck? Are you trying to share something?
1 second. I'll try once again, then give up on this. It's just something on Google Earth. I don't know why it wouldn't let me share it with you though.
I don't want us to see it.
Come on, Gemini. Good old AI. Let us share. There we go.
There we are. Wow. Oh. I haven't gone on Google Earth in a while. It's a lot more sharp than it used to be. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm on a massive monitor right now, so that's why I wanted to bring this up, because you can see stuff that you
That's
don't usually get to see.
brilliant. Holy smokes.
I like it.
So
Wow. The wound north of Greenland. Let's just go on there.
it only works in Pro.
What?
But basically, it only works in Pro, but you can kind of see it happening right here. Like if you look right here. So this is essentially where the North Pole technically should be.
I was looking at the pareidolia of the side profile of the human face. Sorry about that. Now I see what you're looking at. There is definitely a vortex of energy there, and God, I
there's
should pull
rays
that.
here. So this,
I should.
if you look at this on Google Earth Pro and you zoom in, I wish I could fucking share it. I don't know why it won't let me.
I have
It
pictures
zooms
of
in
all
and
the
you get, like, a
planets in
bunch
our
you
in
get
our
a dead
galaxy
center point
that have
and a bunch
this.
of rays coming out from it, as if it's photo stitched together from a center point. But
Oh,
why
I
would
know
they
what
ever
you're
need to
talking
do
about.
that? Why wouldn't they just fly right over the North Pole and take a picture so they don't have all these
I see what you're
rays
saying.
from
Yeah,
overhead?
it definitely looks like it's been. Yeah, it's that vertical line. Yeah, you just zoomed out on it, but interesting. Hello, what's that? Nothing. Tra-la.
So that was just something I was thinking about. But you can't. It's not as like prevalent in this one. But if you go on Google Earth Pro, it's like in your face. Like it looks like an octagon of rays all bent out from here.
So
Like,
all of the
we
planets
literally-
in our solar system have this aspect. I have photos of all the north poles of all the planets, and they all have this weird hexagonal
Vortex.
energy vortex anomaly. All of them, even Pluto, which is just like what?
But what I'm suggesting is it's not real. It's just photos stitched together from that as a center point.
Yeah.
Or else they could just take a picture
for this. Yeah,
you
no.
think of the
I
Earth
agree
as a
with you.
globe on two axes, but a camera can
Yeah.
go over it at any angle and take that picture, so it wouldn't have all those stitch points. That's all I was suggesting. Is it was just something
Yeah.
to
No,
think
for
about.
sure. It's
And maybe what you're saying
there.
is has 100% to do with it. Maybe you can't fly over that, so they have to stitch it all together at that point.
Right,
But that
like,
would be the
Or
only-
what would they see from satellite technology? Just like bright light. There's no texture. Or
It's just the only
darkness,
spot on
there's no
Google Earth where
texture.
it all is stitched together in a vortex like that, like in a center point. It's just
yeah,
very
like,
odd to me.
can you zoom down in further? Like, will it give us any actual real pictures, or it just shows more?
I'll just take a screenshot of it
interesting
on
stuff.
Google Earth Pro and then bring that up because it's crazy
Okay.
on it.
Because
Look at that on my own Google Earth. Wow.
And then has anyone seen recently, I don't know if it's true or fake or just like an edited video, but there's one that like seems to depict someone on Google Earth like going into Antarctica and then like zooming in and there's like a straight up city down there or something.
I haven't seen that.
There's definitely photos of ancient structure, far destroyed, that has come up. Legit or not sure, but I've definitely seen photo of this.
So just share the whole screen. So as you see
I
here,
know.
there's all these rays. Can you guys see that better in this one?
Yes.
Zoom in a
Oh,
little
yeah.
bit more.
The focal point of it. Yeah. I'll rotate from around it. Oh, definitely now. Now I see what. Look at that.
I'm keeping zooming and zooming and zooming. It can just go on forever. But what I'm suggesting is like there's no way that there is ever a need for this, because they could just fly the drone over this way and take a picture of it from a
Right?
different angle
Yep.
to eliminate all these stitches. This is the only place on Google Earth that is like this. Maybe the other
about
pole is. I haven't
The South
checked,
Pole.
but
The
I
South
just saw
Pole is
this
similar to
video.
this. Check out the South Pole real quick. It's kind of similar from what I remember. But yeah,
But that just
I mean,
looked
it's
insane to
obvious
me.
that there's something messed up going on with Earth that they're keeping from us for whatever reason.
I just wanted to share
Absolutely. That the South and North Poles, whatever is there or not there, is where humanity will find like the truth to our existence, our realm, our reality, and most likely our history and origin. Whether it's Atlantis, an ice wall, a hole into the center, a matrix, some aliens, some Nephilim, who knows? But something.
Did you want to talk about the chemical stuff real quick, or
Check, yeah. That was ElkMan, or?
yeah?
I'm trying to pull up the polar anomalies of planets on my website. I thought I had a presentation on this. I guess I didn't. Sorry.
Right? They're so weird. I know exactly what you're talking about, Hans. It's the strangest stuff.
I swear I did a presentation on this, but I have it on my website. So at some point I'll share this. If you guys are gonna share, I can't find where we're at. Where is the...
Here we go.
Oh, there we are. All right. Yeah, cool.
I'm just gonna go grab a drink before I get into this because I've already lost
Okay.
my voice. But I'll be back in like 2 seconds.
No worries. Hans, are you wanting to bring?
Yeah, let me do this. Screen Windows. Right, share. So we got Mercury. Polar anomaly, right? Venus. Bipolar anomaly at the North Pole. Earth. We have both the northern and southern polar anomaly on Earth. And so that's kind of the photo that Google Earth just doesn't want to present because it is a vortex. Mars, same thing. It's like a winter storm constantly at the North Pole. Jupiter, we have this really strange magnetic anomaly that's, I don't even know how to describe this. It's like vortexes inside of vortexes inside of vortexes.
I love the vortex inside of vortex inside of vortex.
Saturn. So you have a hexagonal storm, and inside of it is another hexagonal storm in the opposite direction, and then vortices inside of that, and even the southern pole shows the same anomaly.
The fact that it's the sixth planet and it has a hexagon on the poles is
Right? It just really it doesn't get more
Well, with that
mysterious
shape,
than
that shape, you can also make the male and female triangles out of
Yeah.
that shape.
Interesting. But you also have this other vortices going around the center, which is interesting.
I just don't know how I mean, yeah, I don't know. These picks always concern me.
As does all of us, right? So Uranus, same thing. It's set on an angle that's not the same as the others, but this is the North Pole, so there's a heat signature there. Where are we at? Neptune, same kind of thing. We have this hexagonal vortices on the pole of Neptune, and then yeah, Pluto. I guess I don't have to zoom in on Pluto, but I'll zoom in. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so Pluto's North Pole also has this weird, vortices of depletions and whatnot. So all the planets that we really know have all of this going on. Their North Poles, including ours, and so that's super fascinating. Thank you, ElkMan, for sharing that.
Do you think that this upcoming eclipse has something to do with the pole or anything like that? Like, it feels like there's been some kind of weird aura coming recently with this eclipse coming up. I'm not sure.
Don't know. Yeah, it's hard to tap in. Our sun does so many crazy things daily that we excluded it from, unfortunately, a lot of our environmental programs. It's like the sun is not even included. And so how can we trust anything when we don't know what's going on with the sun? So I'll just leave it at that.
And I still have yet to find an answer. And is it because it's actually legitimate that the sun is no longer doing its 11-year magnetic pole flips, and that the 2023 was supposed to be the next year that it was supposed to do its reversal? It didn't do it last year, and again, is it turning into this white pulsar? And are we in an actual new age with actual more cosmic radiation coming from our star?
I think we talked about this on the last show. When I was a kid, I'm old, 9 million years old. I'm just kidding. But when I was a kid, I remember the sun being very yellow, very orangish yellow. Hey, Julia.
Hola.
Good evening.
Good morning. Somewhere in the world.
Hey, welcome. And
so I remember the sun. I remember the sun being very. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
I was just saying, agree with you that like when I was a kid, it was a yellow sun. Everything I drew was yellow, sometimes orange and red in it, and now
it's very white. And I've kind of observed this, and Jay Widener has kind of confirmed this in some of his podcasts. Johnny, other friends of mine as well. It's just like we're noticing that the sun is it's a different color than I grew up around. And
yeah, I agree with that.
Is that my eyesight changing? I don't think so. I don't think so.
We could just all be remembering it wrong, I guess. But do you think that maybe like the artificial clouds and stuff that you've been spraying have something to do with? Maybe it could change the color.
That's a good. Thank you. That's actually a really good possibility there, Shem. That's
definitely could be a part of it.
Thank you. Wow.
Yes. Also could be them trying
very
to
much so
up as well, right? Trying to add color back into it. Why there's always forest fires and stuff, making it orange and red again, trying to make it look yellow.
And then you have this BG character. We all know who he is. Buying up farm property and whatnot. He wants to put gold particles in the atmosphere to block out the sun or charge or create a electromagnetic charge from the sun, one of the two. And that's kind of weird because isn't that the entire premise of Highlander 2? It's like, wait, what? I've never seen Highlander 2. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm kidding.
Why is Mr. Gates trying to inject gold particles into our atmosphere?
He's a huge fan.
This also comes out of legit or not. Why can't I think of the guy's name? The guy that translated the hieroglyphs, the cuneiform from ancient Sumeria. He talked about this as well. This
Zachariah
interesting
Decision?
pattern.
Background
Yeah, thank you. Good. Thank you. Sitchin. Yes, Sitchin's work talks about this. Whether or not it's legit or not is interesting. There's a lot of people at Oxford and other universities that are actually discovering that a lot of what he translated was pretty close. So we have yet to see. I'm not entirely sure about that. But
Yeah, so I haven't looked into it too much. I don't know.
Yeah, Stitchin's controversial, but I have yet to learn Sumerian myself. So until I do, I'm gonna take all your words on it.
I have a book. You can learn it all overnight. No, just kidding.
Come on, Neuralink. Just kidding.
Frightening.
All right. Now, ElkMan, did you want to go over the chemistry stuff, or
Yeah, sure.
might as well? Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Okay, so it's gonna make it a little bit dark, but we can keep it light or whatever. So I was doing research, and this one base in Canada keeps coming up for lots of testing. Like,
Can you full screen it? Can you go up to the upper left? Upper left,
I
where your three dots are. It's like the red.
I
Red.
don't even see it.
Upper left. Upper left. Upper
My
left.
logo is probably
On your
blocking.
browser.
I can.
That's okay.
No worries. Yeah.
No, it's not letting me.
All good.
Oh, now it's frozen.
Oh no. Sorry.
Secretly testing carcinogens. Oh dear. Oh my.
It's frozen now. Oh, one sec.
You can, if you want to, while he gets that organized, you can just share my screen real quick. I'll just segue into it, I guess. Unless it's working. It looked like it was working.
National Post.
So yeah, what I originally wanted to talk about was like the World's Fair, but that's a very long topic. So we'll just talk about one little aspect of it. Is that they say only 2 buildings survived it, which even according to this is already wrong, because normally they don't talk about this La Rabida hospital that survived the World's Fair. This is a replica of where Christopher Columbus and his son were allegedly hiding for a few years that they built for the World's Fair. So it still survives today. But the other buildings that survive is the Museum of Art and the Congress Building are still around. So automatically this is just wrong. So there's at least 3 that we're talking about here. But what I want to talk about is the German building, because this is a good example of the books that I've been reading about the 1893 Chicago Columbian Exposition that talk about these buildings, and it describes them in ways of being permanent. So let's read a little bit of this real quick. The German building occupies a commanding position on the lakeshore southeast of Ceylon. It is the handsomest and most expensive of all foreign edifices. The plans were drawn by Johannes Radke of Berlin, architect, German government. So yeah, you can see that this is just them describing the history of it. It's 78 feet in height, crowned with this. So this is the way they basically describe all of the buildings in these books. So they will literally say specifically if it has stucco or if it's supposed to be temporary. So allegedly this building didn't survive the World's Fair, right? Only 2 buildings did, only 3 buildings did. Okay, so this is a photo on the Library of Congress website from 1906. And this in the background here, that is the German building. Here's another picture of what the German building looks like. This is from the Chicagoology website. So this is what it looked like. This is where it was. We were just looking at that Lakeshore Drive a second ago. Let's go back to that one more time. So this is that building right there. It's still around in 1906. Here's another photo of it from between 1893 and 1901. Same building. Still there, definitely permanent, definitely not temporary, definitely didn't burn down in a fire after the World Fair. And then here's just the German building, the World's Columbia Exposition, December 28th of 1913.
Still there. Yeah.
So for some reason, they don't want to tell us that some of these buildings were permanent. Is there some crazy conspiracy behind it? Maybe. It's just really suspicious how they can't just simply say, yeah, the buildings were made well and they were intended to survive, but we tore them down. I don't understand why that's so hard to admit. If you think
Or
about
burn them down in a lot of cases. Yeah.
well, yeah, I mean there was a fire there as well, but the plaster of Paris that they were using at this time period, it was thought to be like a permanent type of thing. It was waterproof, fireproof. There are different ways of creating it. According to the encyclopedias and the dictionaries at this time period, they literally talk about what it was made of and how it was used. It's named after a gypsum in Paris from like a surrounding area or something. So they used it to make permanent structures in Paris. So then they brought that same mixture over here to America and used it for this World's Fair. The idea that your house, which is designed to be semi-permanent right now, which is built out of a wooden frame and then covered with plaster, is somehow different than these buildings that are built from steel frames and wooden frames. And then even if it is just plaster, it's literally the same thing as the house you're living in right now. But yeah, I mean, that's just a little segue. Hopefully we can get more into the World's Fair in the future in like a full episode. And these are the first people that discovered Chicago, allegedly, and this is their memorial. We've talked about them a couple times on your channel before. Just thought this was a little interesting photo that this exists.
Yeah, we will be doing a full episode on the World's Fairs. We'll also have Lucius Aurelia channel on and Frankie New West. We reset to hopefully he might still join us tonight. Was supposed to join, but it got a little bit too late for Frankie. And that there's just so much anomalous stuff, and especially the amount of the waterways and all the landscaping within them, and that it seems like it's castles and embassies, and potentially just it was there something more to it. It's weird.
Well, the origins of these fairs goes back at least documented to the Middle Ages, and the intention of them was for groups of people to come together in a new spot to possibly form either a permanent city for trading or just to see who has the best ideas for trading and maybe setting up like a temporary spot there, basically just deciding whether or not we're going to settle here and what products are we going to be trading. They've been around since allegedly the Middle Ages. And then even before that,
it literally does look like these trading hubs, these international trading hubs, kind of with like what would be essentially foreign embassies of like your big powers of each of the time, sort of thing.
Yeah, and China was excluded from this one pretty much, and Chinese people were actually like banned from coming to the United States during this time period, which is interesting when you think about what was going on with the West Coast and the potential that there were Chinese settlements over there. I don't know if you guys have seen the new Mind Unveiled video, and my buddy Casey has been from Golden Gate Starport Command has been looking into this as well. But it's very interesting stuff. I'm trying to see if I can find a link to the encyclopedias, but we can move on to ElkMan stuff now if you guys are ready. It was just a quick little tangent. Where is it?
So
I wasn't sure, Shem, were you done with showing that? Or?
Yeah. Like I was just looking for something.
There we go. Sorry.
But you can move on.
Please.
yeah, sorry, I had to reset my computer. I lost everything, but all my tabs are still here, thank God. So I was researching some skull thing, and I came across Calgary, and they still use the skull.
Really?
And yeah, I'm talking. I don't want to get into that right now, but this. So basically, in a lot of my research, this fort keeps coming up in BC, and a lot of testing has happened there from the United States, basically, and Canada on its own citizens. So last night when I was looking into this, I just found a lot of stuff that I thought was really interesting. So I'm just gonna like blow through it all. but the connotations of all this stuff are pretty huge, and like I think it's all pretty close to where you're at. It's just interesting because
where I'm
I'll try
at.
and tie it all in together as I read it and what my thoughts are about it, because it ties into like the stone giants and kind of what like Shem was just talking about with the New Mind Unveiled video, because like a lot of the same places that they were talking about in that video that were on the western part of Canada are places where there's constant what what's the best words to use, uh weapons testing, and it's like the exact same areas that um
Had the internment
they,
camps and
they
stuff.
yeah, but this is before that even, and it all ties into like a lot of the native people's history and stories too. But I don't want to get into like what I think about it or how I'm tying it all in together. I'll just present all this stuff, and like you guys can feel free to interrupt me as I go. I don't know too much about it, but I did do a deep dive on it, so it's pretty interesting. But like, so this lady, Lisa Martino Taylor, I don't know if anyone here has watched Mr. Robot, but she is really reminds me of Angela Moss. So this lady's this lady, so this is the kind of researcher that I aspire to be. Like this lady's actually researching stuff and making changes and doing stuff with her research. So I want to shout out this lady. But so recently, about like 10 years ago was this article, 2017. So the crux of it is between July 9th, 1953 and August 1st, 1953, 6 kilograms of zinc cadmium sulfide was sprayed onto unsuspecting citizens of Winnipeg from U.S. Army planes. So unsuspecting citizens is a keyword, and from Winnipeg from U.S. Army planes. The Army returned 11 years later and repeated the experiments in Suffield, Suffield, Alberta, and Medicine Hat, Alberta, according to Lisa Martino Taylor. So as you guys can see, I probably have like a ton of tabs up. So what happened was this was all testing for
Unbeknownst to the public, and you said from Army planes over Winnipeg. That's wild.
Yeah, from the States. So
Oh, okay.
So these chemicals were odorless, colorless, and so small they wouldn't have been visible to the naked eye. The small size of the particles may have made them more dangerous, according to the book, because of how deep they could become lodged in the human respiratory system. But when the U.S. Army returned in 1964 for tests in Alberta, a memo from the Canadian officials expressed concern that American aircraft was emitting distinctly visible emissions. So we talk about like trails from planes and all that, and like this is all just like proof that it has happened in the past. So
I wonder
it
if
could
anyone's pressed
possibly
charges.
still be happening. What they're saying is that they weren't aware that they were hazardous to people at the time. So all this is testing for so what they said they wanted to do is test how effective biological weapons could be. So what these were ultraviolet spores, and like we haven't got to the spores yet, but these were ultraviolet chemicals which they could see somehow. So they wanted to see how quickly they could spread biological warfare. But there's a lot to get into, so I just got to keep going, or else I'm just going to get stuck here. But so basically, they didn't know it was poisonous to people. They were just doing tests to see, but at the same time it was, so they were
Testing
actually,
if it's poisonous. We don't know. We're just gonna test it unbeknownstly to the good old Canadians of the north of the border.
so yeah, so it was, so basically it was radiation poisoning. If yeah, okay, so they wanted to visit Suffield to discuss it, blah 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 blah.
Hold on a second.
So
That chemical up there that they were talking about in relation to Kim Jong Nam, that's a very, very dangerous chemical right there. The neuro
yeah,
what I forget what it's called. It's like some sort of
Phosphorus 32, a
neurotoxin.
radioactive material, and VX, a nerve agent, which was recently used to assassinate Kim Jong-nam, the brother of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. The U.S. was working on producing a radioactive nerve agent out of the two properties. Internal memos make note of plans to have 100 pounds of VX delivered to Suffield.
So does that mean that they were planning on spraying that over
Suffield
people?
comes up. Pardon me?
Does that mean that they're planning on spraying that on people?
Yeah, and they did.
Like it.
So they didn't just do it here in Winnipeg. I should share another's. Oh no, I was able to pull it up.
Yeah, that's the guy that where those girls snuck up behind him in the airport and like put the chemicals on his nose, and he like died, I think, within 20 minutes or something from breathing it in. He just like died. He was just like laying on a chair in a hospital. There's a picture of him, Kim Jong Un's brother.
Yeah, I remember that. He was like traveling or something, and they got that's scary, horrible.
So this just didn't happen there. At the same time, it happened in 33 cities throughout North America.
33.
Yeah, I have a list of them. I lost that tab, but 1 second, I can bring that up really easily.
Yeah, I'd like to see that on a map.
Right, especially since it's 33 and how they might be placed. Oh, there we go.
So this is just screenshots of me asking Copilot about it. That's what about cadmium sulfide? The U.S. military conducted tests involving zinc cadmium sulfide in various cities across the United States and Canada. Some of the cities where these tests took place include St. Louis, Minneapolis, Corpus Christi, Fort Wayne, and Winnipeg. These tests were part of a Cold War program.
So many crops.
And they
that are in
didn't
that
tell me
area.
them all. So I said, what is the location of the rest of them? There's a way to bring up these again, but I can't remember how, but it also said they were conducted in Fort Wayne, St. Louis, San Francisco, Corpus Christi, Oceanside, Blakemore Beach.
Aren't there a lot of military bases in those cities?
There are now.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that's the thing too, is most of it is military testing, obviously, and a lot of it would happen in those places. But I just wanted to show those screenshots because it's hard to find information on what exactly happened in each of those places, but I did try to. But one document I'm sharing has it all in it again. Sorry, Burn.
No worries.
We went through this one, I think. So Canada has a long history of subjecting people to questionable and dangerous experiments. During the Second World War, mustard gas tests were conducted on 3,000 volunteers at a military base in Suffield. I've done further research, and they weren't volunteers. In the 1960s, CIA experiments conducted in Quebec.
Not knowing or willing, at least.
Yeah, that's MK Ultra they're talking about here. In the second one, like the CIA experiments conducted in Quebec on unknowing subjects analyzed whether or not it was possible with the use of LSD and electroshocks to eliminate memories and build them back up. That's the main MK Ultra programming, which I don't need to bother talking about because everyone knows about it. Yeah.
Negligible
this woman
risk
in
to the
St.
general.
Louis told the Associated Press she remembers being sprayed with a fine powder. This one's important too, because when they were all talking about this, there wasn't proof of it, but proof of it has come to light now. So this lady was saying that she remembers being sprayed with a fine powder by an airplane. She suffered from breast, thyroid, and skin and uterine cancer. Another said she was born in a St. Louis building where the powder was dispersed from the rooftops. 4 of her 11 siblings later died from cancer. So,
wow, 11 siblings all die from cancer.
So yeah, this is all
That's
from
just one
Operation
family, yeah.
LAC, which is large area coverage. So if anyone wants to learn about it, that's what this operation was called in the United States, anyways. They
Simulated
changed.
attacks.
Yeah, they changed what the chemicals were the second time they did it. This is
The fact
interesting.
that they did it is kind of sad. Yeah.
Yeah. So this talks about where the long ones. So what they're doing, guys, is blowing in invisible chemicals to see how fast they could spread.
Yeah, because like where those states were, it's almost like the way it carries the winds up there, So that's like strategic.
Yeah, like another Canadian air mass swept through and carried the particles into the Gulf of Mexico. 2 other tests, one along a path from Toledo, Ohio to Abilene, Texas, and another from Detroit to Springfield to Kansas, showed that the agents dispersed through this aerial method could achieve widespread coverage when particles were detected on both sides of the flight paths.
Almost sounds like chemtrails.
Exactly.
Dun, dun,
And
dun.
this also sounds a lot like people were talking about like
when was this happening? In the 60s?
But they were talking about the street lights being neon and they'd be able to see different colors of something very easily and skin and stuff. And this is like, I didn't think there was much credence to that, but like this is exactly that. So anyways, Operation Do.
It's interesting that you said about the street lights. There's a new ordinance they're trying to pass here in Oregon where they want to replace every single one of the the tube lights in buildings. These.
Yeah. Have you heard about the purple light theory of all
they want to change all these in Oregon, and there's no money to replace them, so it's up to the companies to replace them.
There's all these like purple street lights that have popped up all over the country, and they said it was a malfunction, that it was like defected bulbs from China or somewhere, and it's like, but why are more popping up? You know what I mean?
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, there was also a conspiracy too that those lights would be able to detect something in people and all this other stuff.
Yeah, because it's ultraviolet. It's going into the wavelength.
Also, there was a lot of them by where that January happened, the sighting in Miami where all those cops were, and they said there was like aliens at the mall.
Oh, at the mall.
And there's all those lights outside. They're like, is this to help like make Project Bluebeam, like where you'll see things, or
right? Blue beam, red infrared, the devils, the red blue shift, red blue light, and then what are cops lights but always red and blue? Are they the in between?
And white, yeah, correct, yeah.
Interesting.
And then there's another one called Operation Do, and it doesn't stand for what you think it stands for, something else they say, but these were another ones where they the tests involve the release of 250 pounds of fluorescent particles from a minesweeper off the coast. Operation Do was described in a U.S. Army report known as the Dugway Special Report 162, blah, 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 blah. Operation Do was to study the behavior of aerosol-released biological agents. So, okay.
This is what makes New Hampshire so badass, because they passed a thing that you can't spray chemtrails in their state. I think Texas was the first, but it passed like this year. So I thought that was like revolutionary and amazing.
Come up my way. You'll see plenty of sell tickets to see chemtrails. Come on. Come on down.
They're doing this while they're at war. Instead of testing it in other countries, they're testing it here. So it's really strange. You would think that they would test it over there. What they shouldn't be testing it at all, but
Gunwoo had sent me a thing about
we're
how
all
they
going to
were
experience it at some point. So why not test it here, figure out the end result of it, and then test it somewhere else? Yeah. then we know what it does, and we can play problem, reaction, solution 100%.
Yeah,
This document's very important because it ties. This one's been in PubMed and everything too. This is a published document that's been recognized and not conspiracy or anything like that. But it's all about the same stuff I just talked about. But as part of the test, the Army released particles of zinc, cadmium sulfide from airplanes, rooftops, and moving vehicles in 33 locations. There's your 33. Most cities and towns in the United States and Canada. So this one's important because of that 33. It's also important because it refers to this document called the Toxologic Assessment of the Army Zinc Cadmium Sulfide Dispersion Test. So that's another one that's very important. There's also keys in here that are important too, but I don't have enough time to go over them, but that's cool.
Thank you
This
for
is
sharing
my
that.
favorite.
That's wow. Just reading
This is
through
my
that.
favorite
quick
document
glance.
I have found during this investigation. This one is Human Radiation Experiments, the Department of Energy Roadmap to the Story and Records. So this book is crazy. This roadmap summarizes the department's search for records about government-conducted or sponsored Cold War human radiation experiments. The records that documented these stories are contained within 3.2 million
Cubic feet.
million cubic feet of DOE records at numerous locations across the country. You're gonna say, right, that's fucked. How are they gonna fucking 3.2 million cubic feet? How are you gonna account for all that?
It's all single sheet that's connected.
It's all accounted for in this document right here. So if you had the time, I've skipped through a bunch that I thought were interesting, but
Can you put this link in the chat, or at least in our chat?
So right here, this is where they talk about it, and I was reading it. Health effects of exposure, blah blah blah. So this is each of them. Volume. So the volume of this case alone on this page is 1,470 cubic feet of records. And there's a summary of what happens in it right here. And there's where you can go get this. This next one,
we can't see what it's saying because it's like not zoomed in enough or something. The text is like blurry.
I can't go full page because I think it will.
Yeah, that helps at least.
Much better. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, now I can see it. Very good.
Archive.org details HRE-DOE report /page/54/model mode /2 up. Right.
Two up. I'll post that in the chat. I'll post that
please,
in the private
do.
chat so BurnEye can post it in the main chat.
Live chat and private chat, please.
Can you share it to the
yes, sir, I
the
can.
crypto chat, because it just goes to mine and no one's watching it on there. But
I'm looking at this now. This is fascinating. Thank you for sharing this.
ElkMan.
Seriously fascinating. Oh my God.
In the live chat now.
Yeah, so these are just hundreds and hundreds. Like if I just skip into this, there's pictures, and this is just, remember, this is all just summarizes the department's search for records about government conducted or sponsored Cold War human radiation experiments. So this one's pretty cool. What is also cool about this one, I thought, was only 14 people have viewed this document. So I think there's a lot of information in here that could help a lot of people.
Thank you for bringing this to the world, and we just like exponentially grew that number right now, right here.
I just viewed it.
It says
Technical
80 watching
difficulties
plus 5
tomorrow.
of us.
Technical difficulties tomorrow on the page.
Oh yeah, for sure. So everyone download it today because there will be. This has happened. I know Shem's joking, but it has happened to us before, or me, anyways.
More
So
than
this
one.
one's another one. This document too. It's only got 31 views, but this document is specifically referring to the operation I was talking about at the very beginning, where they sprayed in the
look
33
at that.
cities.
We need
And
to
at the
download this.
a while back they didn't have this. This was not available at the time. So I don't know. Like I'm when I search for it, it still only has 31 views, but maybe it's posted elsewhere. Like I don't know too much about it, but I think this is another document that's like worth going over to because it gets into the nitty gritty of it. It gets into like they had radiation fields. They set up radiation fields in grade schools to test if it would keep people out of certain areas, but they tested it on kids in schools. They set these up in American ghettos. They set up chemical they looked like air conditioners, but they blew all these chemicals that we were talking about previously into like American ghettos back in the day. And this is all the research that they obtained from these tests. And basically it talks about everything in detail. It's not good. It's kind of crazy. So one thing with all this I want to make a point of is here it is right here talking with the school.
Please share this link in the private as well. This is key.
Oh yeah, I'll put a link. Did I not share this one yet? But
no, you did the original.
Okay.
Other one.
Yeah, just the first so far. This one's something else. It's
This
got
is-
all the technicals and everything. This is amazing, ElkMan.
Good
yeah,
find.
rip me, but whatever. Like it's got to be shared. But yeah, so this is amazing, and it is proof that this has all happened before. And it's interesting that that's an iron cross there too. But whatever.
Aerosol generation.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that they can do this stuff and then people have the audacity to question you for questioning the government. It's unbelievable.
Behavior of aerosol clouds with cities. Wow. You're kidding me. Crazy. All right.
Here's the topograph.
Thank you for sharing.
So it's unfortunate that at this time these quote tests were being done on our own citizens, and the purpose of these, the reason why they picked these towns was because they said that they were the closest representations of equal towns in Russia because of the Cold War. But
Does it say what the Iron Cross represents on this by any chance? Like in a key, because that's on a lot of old maps as well in America. Exactly.
Where is it?
I think that would be the dispersal point of the.
Where are you seeing this?
Right there, on the left graph, you'll see there's an Iron Cross right there. Greek cross.
Oh, interesting. What? Okay.
So yeah, there's all these tests out.
Right.
So next time your friends
there
tell you
now. Yeah, I see it.
that contrails or whatever you want to talk about aren't real, you can now say they are real. They've been going on for a long time. They're killing us, and here's the proof of it. But I think I still have more to share. I don't know. It's just let me think. Is there anything more important about this document? It's just unfortunate that the people they chose to test these on too, again, it's the same old.
Children too. I mean, it's unbelievable that no one's pressed charges or done anything. Not that they would likely win.
Why would they?
But yeah, I gotta get going. Shout out to the chat. Appreciate you guys for having me. Have a good night.
You do, dude.
You too, Shem. Cheers out.
All right, thank you, Shem Jacobs, Tartarian Truth. Thank you for being with us. Appreciate that. And this is just wild, ElkMan. Like history that needs to come out, and investigations that need to happen. Like just mind blowing. Oh, Ryan, I think you're muted if you're trying to talk, brother.
I must have done that by accident.
No worries.
Yeah, there's a few other articles I tried to get that would be interesting, but I couldn't find them, and they're not in the archives anymore. Like the nerve gas test, they tested nerve gas on Canadian citizens in Quebec and stuff too. But I'll do a deeper dive on it some other time. But I was looking into a lot of this stuff because a lot of it occurs in the same locations where in Canada there is military bases, and there's huge chunks of land that look like the hills have eyes. There's all just like bomb holes everywhere and everything. So usually those are in places where they're trying to eradicate something. And in this case, I believe it was like quite possibly like the stony giant people. Like BurnEye had those skulls up earlier, and the natives talk about the stony giants, but that could be a whole other thing. But these are the these are the paths in which they spread those. So that's how far they were able to travel.
That's crazy. Across the whole continent.
Yeah. Definitely mid Canada. But yeah, I think that's all I have about this today. I could go into little nitty-gritty details about it, but I think anyone who wants to research it has enough to jump off on their own. I just don't know if I missed anything. They did eventually use spores mixed with it too. But yeah, I think that's all I got.
Appreciate that, and no, that's
Yeah, thank
huge.
you.
To be able to,
And that's pretty close. I think that's pretty close to where you're at, BurnEye. I wish I could share. I wish I could share Google Earth Pro, but it's not working for me right now. But yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for.
I appreciate these links, though. Seriously, often that's amazing. Thank you.
100%.
Yeah, and what I do suggest too is with those links. What I did notice yesterday, I was able. You go to the user that posted them. Yeah, this Jag 223, and they've got so this person has a very interesting Internet Archive account. So it's got lots of very interesting.
Ooh.
Yeah,
it's gold mine.
Yeah, I'll share this link too. And
yes, please. Sharon is Karen.
Yeah, I'm diabetic, and there was one in there where they switched a bunch of diabetics insulin with like radioactive stuff and did tests on them and didn't tell them. And
oh, fucking brilliant! Love these people.
All this wild stuff, but all the unbelievable stuff you think would be unbelievable is all probably right here in these documents. There's a lot.
Wow.
Thank you for the share. This is a gold mine. Seriously.
For sure.
Yeah, and not a lot of it has very many views too. So I just hopefully someone out there can back some of it up because I don't.
Thank you, Nawal. That's interesting as well. Thank you so much. good post there.
All the sharing. Yeah. It needs to happen and come out and.
Yeah, and this one's important too. The St. Louis Dispersion Study, Volume 2. That's about the same thing we're talking about, but a whole book on just that one. Yeah, this is on there. Lots of lots of interesting stuff. Like, yeah. So I'll pass the mic to somebody else.
Exactly. Shared it all in the live chat for everyone, and you said it's got like 15 or 30 views on some of them, and 100 people watching just right there. You know, be 1,000 by morning time, and this is ElkMan's live leaks happening.
Thanks.
Well, thank you, sir. Like, this is history that needs to be documented, brought up, and hopefully some sort of accountability, at the very least, of just preventing these psychopaths from continuing to do this to us and to the general populations to this day.
You know what this reminds me of? Which, look, I don't want to say it. I'll just show you a meme that I made. Can you guys read it?
Hold on. Here we go. Yeah, right.
But this is why detoxing is so important. I mean, I preach a lot about it, but it's not hopeless, you guys. There's things that we could do to just, we're combating something on a whole nother level, and it is spiritual. And I always say, like, your spiritual battle is like in your gut as well. But like, there's things you could do to combat this, and this is why it's so important to cleanse. And you know, there's MSM you could take, there's DMSO and the zeolite, like, but this is why it's so important. And a lot of people like don't want to do it, but it's like, do you want to feel amazing? We get so used to feeling so sluggish, or our brains being clouded, and or the lack of focus, and we've adapted to it. So when you start to cleanse, you start to see an increase in your performance and your sharpness, and a lot of things that you're like, oh my gosh, how did I function like that for so long? Or why did I dread doing that? Like, you feel better completely. Yeah. And cilantro is gets rid of heavy metals as well. That helps out a lot. Get like the drops of it.
And helps the heart. That's another huge thing with cilantro. It's a heart additive. So.
And you're going to want to use a binder like psyllium husk, you know, or the diatomaceous earth, the food grade. Make sure you get the food grade, and take that. That definitely helps. But we're definitely needing to cleanse pretty aggressively because of what we're combating. I mean, what's being put in the soil and what we're being sprayed with.
Yeah, our water.
Nice.
Yes, exactly. And the water.
The water, the air, everywhere. Our food, it's crazy. And even the waves, the energy waves, the Wi-Fi, the 5G, and it's coming at us from every dimension you can think of, every vector possible. We're being attacked.
And I just feel like it's getting you to connect psychically to like another field. Like I said, you know, I speak of that, of like AI becoming like a new god, right? You know, and connecting to that. But like, it seems like all these things, the blocking of the sun and this and that, is like trying to prevent you from connecting to your higher power, like from connecting to source.
Bingo. Yep.
Bingo indeed, actually. Just gave me a flashback to an out-of-body experience I had last summer when I was a little bit sleep deprived and overheat exhausted. But it was like right before I blacked out, it was like this, I was staring at the sun, and it was like trying to connect to this higher consciousness, and this other like entity like entered my mind and was like, I need to connect to source, and was like trying to like get out to the sun somehow, and like had this message of like desperation of like preventing this like reset of life because it's going to be an extinction of all life. It was the strangest thing.
I have a theory about like parasites and heavy metals, that when you're so inundated with it, that things are able to enter you, more access, whether you want to call them demons, disembodied demons,
archons,
yeah, like that energy is more able to enter you that way. So even more important to you know, it's almost like, yeah, like inducing.
So think about think about the sun
Not
gazing
that.
cults. I mean, we don't need to go the breatharian, but you know the whole
So
going to the
that's
sunset session, the time of autumn where you're looking into the sun as it's setting, and you have this. It's an interesting
Oh.
aspect. Yeah, sunset gazing is really magical. And so you look at the ancient Egyptians. We were talking about this earlier, and you have Akhenaten. You know, he's Amenhotep the third or fourth. Well, Amunhotep is it means the Hotep is it's like an altar. So Amunhotep is the altar to the dark, and he changed his name to become the key of the enlightened light, which is Akhenaten. You know, so. Here we have this, you know, transformation from darkness to light, and as Julia was saying, it's like, oh my God! All of a sudden, you know, the sun is super important, and we should look at the sun as super important because it guides a lot of what we do from day to day, all day long.
literally the start to end, pretty much your routine each day, and it is the life energy as well of all life. Feeds everything that grows and lives. Without the sun, we'd be screwed. And what does it mean if it's white now instead of yellow? Is it?
Have any of you seen Dune Part 2?
Is that out
Speaking of
already?
strange-
No.
Oh yeah. So there's spoiler alert. There's a scene where they discuss the black sun of Gidi Prime.
Continue.
And when you go out into the light of the black sun, you're in a black and white environment. That was a very interesting approach and aspect that Villeneuve did for his movie to depict the black sun, which is also known as Saturn. Getting into symbology,
Right? Like, there's something to that dark star, dark sun, and Saturn, and all of it. And maybe we just have to look at it in a different bandwidth of light waves or something. Radiation.
maybe this has to do with alchemy. All right, okay. So hear me out here. You're into alchemy. I'm not, but I'm looking at this from an outside perspective. Maybe the dark sun is the flame that ignites the plasma versus the flame that ignites the fire, because the plasma is huge in alchemy. And so what ignites plasma? We don't ever see it. We just, you know, flip the switch and there it is, plasma. Woo! But what is the spark that ignites that? Is that the dark fire or the dark sun, right?
Dark, the heavy, and it's implosion. It's implosive, it's endothermic, it's inside, and it's going into the micro versus the macro. And that's a very good point and thought there, Hans. I like that.
From an outside perspective, that's kind of how I look at it. It's like there's some other energy that sparks plasma, because plasma, like as you have there in your Tesla coil tube next to you, has a very different, exactly, and it attracts to you and your electromagnetics, has a very different energy. That's plasma, though we don't really realize that is a plasma energy inside of that tube.
Did yours change color during Aurora Borealis, Bernie?
I have yet to notice that. There hasn't been I wasn't home during the last Aurora, but I'm gonna have to actually make a point to check that out on the next flare, because I have heard about that.
Yeah, the purpley, like I have a purpley blue colored one, and I'm not close enough, but it does change color, and if you are close enough, they can turn green.
Interesting.
Apparently, yeah.
That's wild.
My uncle had two in a table, and you go lay in the basement room, his healing room, and it was like all light therapy. It was so amazing. I miss that. I miss my uncle. He had some pretty cool technology.
Yeah. I used to do electroplating too for a big car company, and
Large scale
no one could,
electrolysis.
yeah,
Seriously, wow.
No
All
one
right.
could figure out the Tesla coil thing, and it would be basically every aurora borealis the machine would
Arc
hit,
reactor, yeah. How is yours? One like monochromatic there, Mr. BurnEye.
Say again?
Yours is like it's like a yellow green. It's like a lime green.
The white monoatomic or
No, your Tesla
my Tesla
lamp.
stuff? I'm not sure it came from Poland.
Interesting.
I think it
I have
depends
one
what
that's in the
factory
shape of a
it's
lava
in.
lamp, and the main light is blue, but then the others are like these obvious like fingers of plasma that are trying to reach the outer core. It's fascinating to watch. I've always been fascinated with Tesla.
I think it's
Like
important
tech.
too to see like they're putting fluoride in the water and all these things is trying to prevent you from accessing your pineal, like from tapping into your
Bingo.
powers and utilizing it.
Everything
So
is.
what you want to combat this? Do things to help activate that. Do things to cleanse to keep that connection solid and stronger. And so for me, that's like, you got to get into this like warrior mindset. That's like, I'm not going to allow this, because a lot of people they want you to feel like there's nothing I could do. I'm being sprayed. It's in everything. I can't avoid it. Like I'm just going to become an alcoholic or do drugs and say to heck with it. Cause like, well, is it a battle for souls? Is it trying to prevent you from ascending? Like when you start to look at the bigger picture of like, wow, this is really important. Why would anyone want to stop that? But I just feel like there's cosmic laws being broken. Like, how is this authorized? How could you put this into the water? Like, how can you cut off water sources and
we're
then control
willingly doing it to ourselves? That right? We're like
by
poisoning
handing it?
ourselves
Yeah,
up.
by being like, there's nothing we can do about this. Like, oh, well, just here you go.
Fluoride is a byproduct of the nuclear industry, and it's illegal to dump wastewater into water systems. So they developed a way of converting it into a byproduct of the dental industry so that it then could naturally be added into the water system, fluoride in your water, chlorine in your water, all this stuff. And it's mind-blowing that this even happened, but this is how it went down, and now we're living the results of that, 40 years, 50 years later.
Right?
Yeah, didn't they use it in like concentration camps? So was it in like a Nazi thing? Like they were trying to give it.
So when you're in your shower and you're in an enclosed environment and there is a fluoride chlorine vapor coming at you, yeah, that's what Julia's talking about. That's what was used in the camps, unfortunately.
And it's a neurotoxin, correct?
Yeah. And so we're inhaling that every time we have a shower.
This is why filters are so important. Hey, Hans, you want to tell them what filters are really good?
So there's Multipure. Multipure is an amazing filter on the market. I'm trying to remember the one that you posted about, Julia. That also is super amazing. It's like a three filtration system.
Oh, that water machine is amazing.
Yes, super amazing.
Because there's a lot of people that
amazing machines out there, but this one seems very tough. Multipure is pretty amazing. If you want like a shower unit, there is a.
It's called a Spring Aqua. It's a Spring Aqua Wet 7, and it's a water machine.
Correct.
And it's complete filtration, and it creates coherent crystalline structure. It ionizes with weak, broad spectrum geomagnetic fields, and it adds 26 trace minerals. And it's got a 15-year warranty. It's amazing. So
I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah,
we definitely recommend that over any like alkaline, like any Kangen machine, especially because of their filters.
Yeah,
But if
most
you
of these
can, if you
machines
can
need
get
free
spring
filters.
water,
Kagan, the one that shows like where it zaps, it's actually
Yeah.
electrically charged. That's pretty crazy. But I haven't personally tested, seen, or experienced any of them or looked into any of them enough to recommend. I just guinea pig
But
myself.
where
with-
people could start is a filter. And even Dan Winters has like a really cool one that, you know, like he has one that like structures it and has like a magnet in it and that he 3D printed. But definitely like if you could get just a filter, like what Hans was recommending, that could like a great place to start. And if you have a spring, I think you go to findaspring.com, and if you can get spot or make a trek of it, like, you know, if it's a couple hours away, like try to go and get as much as you can. But
Seriously, yeah,
yeah, spring water from the earth. Yeah.
is key. It's very structured. It flows through the rock formations.
Oh yeah,
This is the most
spring
amazing
water
thing.
is-
Where I live in Portland, we have like, Mount Hood has Bull Run that comes into Portland, but they've changed this recently. And now it's all these like left, right tubing systems, and they're trying to fluorinate and chlorinate the water because we've had such an impulse of people moving here. And it's like, oh my God, we're losing our natural water system coming out of Bull Run for this toxic BS, and it's sad. It's why it's right there. It comes to Mount Tabor near where I live, and they for the last 3 years Mount Tabor has been empty, as has the other. There's one near the zoo, Washington Park, that is the other huge water reservoir, and they built another one off of I-205 South. And they're all empty, and it's like, why? Because they're siphoning them into other reservoirs so they can chlorinate the water, and it's really sad. It's super sad.
Well, it has to do with our consciousness, the way we talk to water, the way we treat water. I mean, most of us, what is our relationship with it? A lot of people will just, urinate in it, defecate in it, flush it. Like, the water has to do with our consciousness and what we ingest, and it's structured.
What we
And
are.
you could, we're made of it. It's everywhere, and there's a spiritual component to it. And the way you treat it. And I always recommend to pray over your water every time.
Yes.
It makes a world of a difference. It really does.
Well, even if you do breath work with your water, you can actually structure it at a minute level. You can start structuring the water through the vibration of breath work. And so this is
and
super
even through
magical.
intent and music, the Max Photo, right? But what it comes down to is water is so key, and if you can't afford a treatment or to make your own yet, you can go out to your mountain hill springs and get that primary water and get some exercise, connect to nature.
Bingo.
And like that's the biggest thing you can possibly do for a positive change or a great day in your life, right?
Absolutely.
Just connects us back to this planet. Yes. We're so distracted and disconnected from all this through the sorcery of technology, the sorcery of, our desks and our chairs and our doors and our walls. And it's like we tear down nature to rebuild it for our own purpose. It's like, why can't we just go be one with what we are around?
That's why I encourage people. I encourage people to come up with water inventions, like any kind of water filtration systems or inventions or any type of solutions with cleansing or, cleaning the air, like, because we're coming into times where that's going to be pivotal, just like with the toilet to tap. It gives it, there's a lot of opportunity. Like, they passed toilet to tap.
Describe that, Julia, because this is California. Gosh. Oh my God!
I have to give a quick disclaimer to the question.
That is good. I'm just kidding.
Of drinking water from copper, and you have to be careful because if it turns blue and it's oxidized copper, then you're actually getting toxic water and poisonous water. But simultaneously, you can use this sort of water and the copper oxide for spraying to disinfect things extremely well, and that is what the best way you can, I think.
Thanks for bringing this up, because when people buy their copper water bottles and their copper cups, this is not expressed to them at all. It's like if you let that thing go green or start to oxidize, you're potentially poisoning yourself every time you're drinking from that cup.
Big time.
Yeah, they don't express this at all. Yeah,
They're like, but my
Thank
Moscow mules.
the cup's green on the inside, but it looks good. No.
They would store, like the Egyptians, right? Or like they would store their water in copper to keep it disinfected.
Yeah, for sure.
Like massive amounts.
Yes.
But I noticed too, I can't have more than like one glass out of copper. I used to have like a copper canister and like I was just drinking out of it. Like
the question is, where did the copper? Where did all the copper come from in Egypt?
And is it the missing Canadian copper?
Yeah.
Bingo. Most of the Phoenician and Egyptian copper came from the east coast of Canada and the United States.
I feel like you should say that in a Seinfeld voice. Like, what is the deal with all of
What is the deal with all
that copper? They got it from Arizona.
So real quick, this video that we've been playing in the background, that's the Canadian government pouring rotenone into the water to kill all the fish.
What?
Yeah. So if you look up the word rotenone, Rotenone, and Canada, that's all you really need to do. They say they did it.
You got the guys in the white
war
and the military hanging out behind them. Make sure you do this, damn it.
And then you gotta just a guy trying to stop him in a canoe, and he's telling them all off. It's pretty amazing video, but
wow,
they said they were doing it to save the salmon, but it ended up killing everything. And they kept doing it, and it's called they're doing it all on Indian reserves too, so it's basically environmental. They're making it so that the native peoples can't live off their own land anymore, because that's the only places where these things are happening. But
that is such a spiritual war right there, of like on indigenous land with the water. Water is very symbolic of God, a God source, what we're made of. Like that is wrong on so many levels.
Well, yeah, and all the farmland around there is becoming infertile too. So it's basically making it almost impossible for people to live the way that they're used to living in these spots, because they did rely on all their like fishing for food and agriculture, because they're out in the middle of like Nova Scotia. There's not much where they're at. So yeah.
Well, there's plenty to live off the land when they just take what they need and only need what they take, sort of thing, where this is literally killing an entire ecosystem, genocide, ecocide, is that what it's called?
I couldn't remember it earlier. I can't remember what it's called either.
Just like with all those remember all those train like explosions, and it was all by water sources where it goes into many different areas, but like right at the hub of all those water sources is where those chemicals just happen to explode in trains. And then remember it was like raining like the chemical and like snowflakes of it. But I always felt like they were after the water systems.
Yeah.
This is where all the copper in Egypt comes from. Right here.
Yep.
I was just looking up like the largest mine in the world in Chile. They expanded their operation.
And is that one a strip mine, if I'm correct, or no? Yeah, in Chile, yeah. Oh God,
there better be some pole dancing at that strip.
I wonder why they would get. Like, I'm just wondering why they would get their copper from here and not Chile, like in Egypt. Must be
'Cause
some
there isn't-
inner Earth
there
magma.
isn't
It's right on the
copper.
surface.
There isn't copper in Egypt. So
No, I mean why they wouldn't get it from Chile, like for
Good point.
transporting it from there.
They might not have had a trade with them, but
Mm.
why they say it was from here was because it was right on the surface and they didn't have to mine it. They could just find it on the ground everywhere because it was from a big
Massive
copper
deposit.
asteroid or comet or
You also got to look at the trade currents and the trade winds, and this is a huge problem.
Very closer.
It's easier.
Well, yeah, it's by
to go
water
north
too.
than it
You don't
is
have to go through the
south,
land. It's easier to just get a whole bunch of it through water, like loading up from there, not additionally going too far inland.
Exactly. Right off the Great Lakes. And then that kind of leads into, because the copper mine and silver mine, I believe, on the Great Lakes, the indigenous one is like dated to be several thousand years old and recognized, but then it's all what was mined from it is missing and was never accounted for. Is that correct, ElkMan? You know?
I don't know. I just know this is where it all comes from. And there's a lot of history with this island in particular.
Wendigo, huh? We all know what Wendigos are. Spirit creatures, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the screaming spirit creatures.
That's
and like
the name of the
Amethyst
island.
Harbor, there's a lot that I've researched around these parts, but I can't. It's been so long since I've
And
done it, I can't
what's
remember.
going on with that teardrop? That's really interesting. Yeah.
That is out of place and interesting, hey? Like on Wendigo Island.
There's islands. But yeah, apparently a big copper.
They're so tiny
meteor
compared
crash
to
here.
Wendigo. Wendigo is like ridiculously huge, and where the mine is, that's
Quit showing off where I live, man. Go away from there.
if there was ever an
Kind of
island
amazing to have
in North
some
America that
space.
would have an entrance to inner Earth, I would suspect it would be the old copper mines of the island called Wendigo.
Oh, I found that too doing the research this yesterday. It's right here, right near you. It's a fort in a harbor on Vancouver Island.
I'm going out there hopefully this
Grandfather
summer.
used-
H, I think.
Yeah, Victoria's beautiful. If you've never been, Victoria is one of the most amazing, beautiful places.
Oh, I'm
And
going
the
back this summer.
Buchart Gardens, super beautiful. Yeah. My grandfather used to own a piece of property in one of the inlets on Vancouver Island. He owned one of these small islands. It was about a mile across, called Turret.
Hans?
The big fort here.
Canadian government took back over. And I've never been there. My cousins went there every summer, and I always wanted to go with them, and we were never invited. So
We need to take Hans to Turret Island one day.
yeah, I'd love to go. Not very big. It's in the inlet, like third of the way up Vancouver Island, forever. Yeah. It's like the furthest
Oh,
island
what
out.
is this? Iroquois Trail of Footprints by Cox.
Anyways, there's
Or
on
Vancouver. Hey,
Island,
that's
there's a
where
military
I'm
base,
at.
and that's where the submarines go underground. They talk about it. I can't remember.
Fort Vancouver is 3 miles north of me.
Where do they go underground? Did you say, Elkman?
I'll find it in a second. 'Cause they
Anything
tested
underground? I'm
Come
like,
up-
what?
They come
what?
up the Columbia River. There's all sorts of underground stuff in the Columbia River. Yeah.
It's something
Right.
harbor. It's on something harbor.
Vancouver, USA. That's literally
Always.
right across the Columbia River from me.
Really? Hans has to be careful of the underground.
So
stuff.
the Californians drive north to get to Portland, and they cross the Columbia River, and they're like, "Oh, Vancouver, we've made it to Canada." And it's like, no,
No, this is American Vancouver.
this is the other Vancouver. But yeah, Fort Vancouver is kind of a cool spot, actually. Been there when I was a kid.
Right? I think it's a Star Fort.
Yeah, it's right on the river. Yeah. Yep.
I'll find it and bring it up in a second while I'm not presenting the screen.
Oh, yeah.
24/7
Hey,
asked
what's
you,
up,
Bernie, if you were going to Vancouver Island, and did you get a hold of Kevin Hay?
I have yet to get a hold of Kevin Day yet. Yes, I need to get. But I got your message on my messenger. Now I just have to open it on my right phone that it actually works on to be able to like click the link and then get the link to Kevin. Anyways, but I'm going out there in a few months' time, so I still have time to connect it all. And yeah, Kevin Hay. It does Vancouver Island Ormus, and he
really?
has
All right. Yeah.
really good results for over like a decade now, and someone I need to get a hold of and have on the show too.
I'm curious if that's who I bought my Armus off of. I think he was on Vancouver Island. Interesting. Once upon an Armus adventure. Yeah.
If it was called Vancouver Island Ormus, then it was most likely his.
I don't remember. This was years, like 6 years ago.
Fair
Every time I see your other window, I'm like, oh god, man, you got some amazing stuff going there. My friend in New Zealand, he makes Ormus, and I've watched him. He's gotten younger in age. My friend Jason, he was in my photo bashing the stone at the Aswan Quarry earlier, and he now has darker hair than he had before. So
darker.
yeah,
He's...
yeah. No, his hair is darkened. His wrinkles are going away. He looks like 5 years younger than he did, and it's like, holy shit, dude. He's like, yeah, this is just me and I'm doing Ormus. I'm making my own, and really fascinating. Sorry, what, Julia?
Gray hair is a deficiency. I forget what it's deficient in, but it's easily corrected.
It's a liver. It's liver.
Oh, I was unaware of that.
I had people that when I grew up in Nepal in high school had white and gray hair, and it's like, you're 20 years old. What's going on? It's a liver enzyme deficiency.
That doesn't sound fun.
No, our livers are complex and simple. We need to treat them right and do the right things with them. So, liver detoxes.
Liver detox. Andreas Moritz has the best liver detox ever. You could do it yourself. Yeah. It's easy.
Do it every new moon, so you're not bombarding the moon's energy. And yeah. Amazing. Make sure you fast a couple days before or a day before.
I always say to start the parasite cleanse like a day before the full moon, and then you bomb them.
The military full moon.
General
what?
Yeah, full moon. That's when they come out to party. So they're like throwing a raid.
Oh yeah, for parasite.
Yeah, for parasite.
That's funny you said it, because the Portuguese man of war comes out on the leeward side of islands on the full moon. I've been stung by a Portuguese man of war. I know this, and they're weird critters, and they're a parasitic colonial organism, and yeah, could be alien. We don't know how they breed or where they come from. They just show up.
Definitely parasitic.
Yeah, look into Portuguese man of war. Very, very fascinating organisms. Don't get stung by one. It's not a pleasant experience. Yeah.
So the entrance to Inner Earth is somewhere around here in Nanoose Bay.
It's past the stork. Wait, go back.
Noose Bay.
Do you know of it, Bernie?
Where is the Noose Bay?
I'll zoom out in a second.
Oh, okay. That's about okay, right by Nanaimo, in Nanaimo. I got family there. All right, we're going to Noose Bay this summer.
Yeah, that's all I know of it.
Well,
What made you wait? What made you think it? What made you think into Noose?
So when I was doing my research yesterday, this is where I started off looking where they used to drop bombs in Canada, and it was all at the same fort where they gassed the people and everything over to the east a little bit from here. But this is where they tested all the bombs, was on this island. America, the United States blew a bunch of this stuff up right here in the Noose Bay, and then it became a fort for the Navy, and it's important because there's somewhere where they can put their subs underground here, and that's why the Noose Bay is important. And also it's important because all these places where they test all these military weapons, there was always ancient civilizations in the direct
right. They're always blowing.
It probably goes deeper within the earth
stuff as well, like Laos,
Yep.
Vietnam, Cambodia, Myanmar.
All the Hawaiian islands that nobody knows about. Oh, we only see 7 of them. There's like 250 Hawaiian islands, and most of them have been biologically or nuclearly tested on. And so it's like,
yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be over resources, like key resources, to mine, or the deeper the access below Earth, because there's so many things like that have access, but the ones with the deeper access, I probably gets more toyed with.
I'm gonna have to go to Noose Bay this summer because, well, I got family in Nanaimo, and I guess we're at 2-hour mark. We should probably wrap it up tonight because we got another earlier one tomorrow night.
amazing with
Amazing.
Walter Bosley and folks.
Yeah, Walter Bosley and Malia tomorrow, 7 p.m.
Wow, all right.
Pacific. And Malia also does remote viewing, and just the experiences she's shared and the parallels.
That's Walter's partner, right?
Yeah, that's Walter's partner, and it's gonna be a wild one. So
I'm excited. I love Walter. I've reached out to him many times on Facebook, and I'm looking forward to this. I haven't had a lot of time myself to actually do a podcast with him. I've wanted to, and he gave me some amazing dates to do it. I just fell through with it. So I appreciate you putting this together, Bernie. And
Awesome.
yeah.
no worries. It's meant to happen, and we're.
Hans, did you just ring a bell?
I did.
Yes, I need one. He's like, thank you very much.
One more gallon. Beautiful. All right. Well, we will see you all back here then, and maybe Hans, Julia, if you want to stick around, and we'll talk a little bit after.
Okay.
I'll talk.
Sure, why not?
Have a good night, everyone.
Awesome.
Thank you for being
Thanks, everybody.
here.
Awesome questions. And
Thanks for having me, everybody.
thanks so much.
Thank you for your presentation,
Thanks,
ElkMan.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Thank you for that info. Much love.
Super brilliant. Thanks. That's good research. And
Everyone go detox.
we need more research like that, and everybody needs to detox. Yes.
All right.